Guys, thank you so much for the time, as always. Appreciate you.
Very good to be here, buddy. Very good to be here, Dave.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen you guys so many times at meet and greets where you're meeting with the fans, and the lines that you, for those who don't know, you stay into the very end to sign every autograph. I live near Pandora's Box in Lafayette, New Jersey, and you guys were there about a year ago, and you were only supposed to be there for a certain window of time, and you wound up staying over 2 hours later than you were supposed to because you wanted to make sure that everybody that was on that line had an autograph and had a picture. Like, that's saying something for where you guys are, and that you continue to do that for your fans when you don't have to. Really tells the great characters and the great men that you truly both are.
I think we're both very aware that without all of these people that have supported us now for decades, we're 33 years deep into this crazy journey of professional wrestling. Those people have helped make us who we are. And I think when they meet us, especially when you meet Jeff is the most interesting, unique, charismatic character you'll ever meet. You realize he's a very real person, and you feel like he cares about you as he talks to you. And that's what we try and do every single time. There's many times at these TNA shows, we'll finish the show at 10 p.m. and we'll sign till 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. We'll go back and we'll sleep for an hour and a half, 2 hours, get up and go to the airport and fly home. I mean, it's tough and it's grueling, but it is important to us to treat our fans very good.
Yeah, and without a doubt, patience is one of my superpowers, and I'm super proud of Matt. He's been very patient as well at these meet and greets, man, and it just means the world to me.
I get updates, or from our security. I'm like, where are you? And they're like, we're still at the building. And me, Matt, and Jeff were all on the next flight, the same flight at 6 a.m., and they were like, yeah, we left the building at 3:45, drove to the hotel, took a shower, came, and we're all just talking. We're all tired, right? Them especially, because they have this hard. That's what I don't think a lot of people realize. That as you get older, that downtime from a wrestling match is hard, but they just go right back to work and have to do this whole other meet and greet thing. And as we're just sitting there talking, it was like a college crew comes by, and they're getting ready to play a sports event, and it just happens, and I've been blessed to see it happen so many times. People are like, is that Matt and Jeff? And then now here comes 30 or 40 players. Can we take a picture? Can we take a picture?
Yeah.
And not one person went down. I literally am taking the pictures of Matt and Jeff, but it was just like it never got turned off, which, as you know, and a lot of wrestling fans have experienced, people sometimes get bad meetings with people because of, hey, it's early in the morning, blah, 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 blah. But it never turns off with either of them, and that's a credit to how hard they work. They're working legit 24/7, like what we're trying to accomplish. That's what Matt and Jeff do when they, because they get, I mean, honestly, you've been on television nonstop for how long?
We've been nonstop on TV for 27 years.
Wow.
27 years. And I mean, I did 14 years, my first run in WWE. I mean, it has been some pretty powerful television. We were on Attitude Era TV, obviously. We've been on TV for such a long time, and so many people have been so loyal and so great to us. And I think when they've met us, they've had good experiences, and I think that obviously puts a lot of equity in us with them.
It's funny because Tommy's telling that story about Texas.
Right.
And I needed a ride back from the venue to the hotel. And Tommy's like, yeah, we have you riding back with the Hardys. And I was like, fuck you. Like, they're going to be here for another 3.5 hours. Are you nuts?
Not a nice fan-friendly person right there.
I want to get back to the hotel. I'm tired.
Hey, Dave, in the famous words of Mark Henry, sounds like somebody ribbed you.
It's true. It's true. And it was Tommy. It's funny, I know how much you guys are consumed with wrestling, especially you, Matt. I mean, I've been around you. You love it. You watch it. It's your life. Jeff, for you, I know how much you appreciate and love wrestling, but there is a balance there. We just had Jerry the King Lawler on, and Jerry Lawler said he loved wrestling, but he knew the balance of life, and he knew that there's a time when you clock in and there's a time when you clock out. And he made time to draw, and he made time to create music. Jeff, I know both those things are extremely important to you. Both of you have such beautiful families. Have you found now later in your career that you found that balance between life and wrestling?
Oh, for me, for sure. Yeah. I actually this morning, I'm always up in the ambrosial hours, man. And that's my creative time after I finish my workout. So I finished 2 or 3 paintings this morning in my hotel room that I'll take to Buffalo, New York this weekend and sell them. It's like autograph paintings that I do now. And music is always there for me. I'm always writing something if I have a little idea in my head. So, I mean, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have those hobbies. I mean, that means a lot to me to be able to do that and still get the joy out of it like I did when I was so young.
Yes, I have definitely learned a very good quality separation between Matt Hardy, the performer, and Matt Hardy, the human being, and it's something that's important to do. And it's really easy to be consumed with your wrestling persona, especially when we first broke in. Obviously, in the 90s, we were there in the Attitude Era. It was the Wild, Wild West. And they're like, you're in character 24/7, protect your character, protect your character. And there are times they almost train you. Then they almost train you to kind of be in character all the time, and you kind of believe you are who you are. Oh, like Ric Flair. I love Rick. Rick is the best. Great friend of mine, great friend of Jeff's. But, he is Ric Flair. He never cuts it off. He is the Nature Boy Ric Flair 24/7. And I just think after going through trials and tribulations in my career, probably the first 10, 15 years, I learned a very hardcore separation of Matt Hardy the person and Matt Hardy the performer. And it's very easy for me to turn it off and turn it on.
And it's got to be hard. And Tommy, I'll ask you too. It's got to be hard because you are stars. You are, wherever you go, you're going to be recognized, and people know who you are. So, and that could be times when you're with your family, and it's not so easy to turn it on and turn it off because you're always recognized.
I've always been able. Tommy Dreamer and Tom Laughlin, they're pretty much been the same person, but my kids, I didn't realize until my kids, and I've always told you, I always have to talk, and then I will just keep talking wrestling. But my kids learned, ask if they want to take the picture. Like whenever we go to Disney or Universal, ask to take the picture because then the conversation moves forward. If not, Dad will sit there and talk all the time, and the kids want to go do, and because you have to share your time with your family as well as with the wrestling fans are your family. So it's like you have to split that time.
We did that just recently. We were in a Great Wolf Lodge, and we were actually celebrating my son Wolfie's birthday. It was his 8th birthday, and it was his trip. That's where he chose to go. And while we were there, I mean, I took dozens of pictures. But I would say that, oh my God, hey, I'm a big fan. Can I take a picture? I was like, sure. And I'd take a picture. Said, all right, well, very nice to meet you. Got to go with my family.
Yeah.
I try and make it quick, but I would be kind and I'd be polite, and I'm fine doing it, especially if they ask respectfully and whatever else. It's no problem. And I think that's one thing you'll always see from myself and Jeff, and I know he's just the same, because once again, it was our dream to be pro wrestlers. We wanted to be the tag team champions one time, if that was possible. Obviously, we exceeded that many times over, and to have this fan base that we have, we're obviously both very grateful, and we're very appreciative of our fans.
For sure.
Do you get it weirded out when people call you like living legends to your face?
It still sounds weird. It's interesting because we just think of ourselves as guys who are just in the mix. We're wrestlers. We get to wake up and go to work every day in our dream job, and we make money from it, and we get to do this thing we're so passionate about. And it is weird when you think about that, but then sometimes you kind of stop and put everything in check and think about, God, we've been doing this for 33 years and we've had so many magnificent moments in this and that and the other thing. And I think I realize why they would say it, but I don't think it's something that has fully set in. We still feel hungry. Someone asked me, I was talking to my son who just turned 10, by the way.
Wow.
I said, how old do you feel? That's Maxwell, King Maxwell.
Wow.
He's 10. He just turned 10, a decade old.
Crazy.
And I said, how old do you feel? He said, I don't know, maybe 7. He said, how old do you feel, Dad? I said, I don't know, 18, 20. I said, I think I've got you beat on that when I go backwards. But, we're still passionate and we love what we do. And it's one of those things. It's great to get those compliments, but we still feel like we have a lot left to do. We have a lot left to accomplish.
Well, I feel it's unfair because you have the lake of rejuvenation and you just jump in.
Yep.
You got something because, we've seen, wrestlers over decades, have to change their style a little bit because that happens with age. You guys are doing what you're doing in the ring, as if you're 20 years younger. The condition and the abilities that you guys have is absolutely incredible. And if I'm part of that TNA roster, I got to look at you guys saying, my God, how do I keep up? Because you set the tone in that locker room with what you've been able to do. They say the Road Warrior pop. Tommy, I think we got to start defining the Hardy's pop, because everywhere you go, you get that reaction. Tommy, you've been in a lot of arenas. The reaction that the Hardys still get here in 2025 is absolutely insane.
It's a wave of energy pointed at two people. It's like if I could imagine what trending is in real time, they trend. And this bolt of a wave of sound, and Dave, when that music hits, I wish they could film the back too, because you have so many younger talents. They're dancing, everybody's head starts rocking, it becomes like a mosh pit. And then the moment they come out, it just continues to rise. And, they do their pose. Jeff is dancing. Jeff's doing whatever Jeff is in the moment doing. It's beautiful to see because it is also art. And I always scream, that Hardy pop, because it just keeps on getting louder. I have said the loudest pop I've ever heard in pro wrestling is the Hardys' return to WrestleMania. I will still stand by that. But to experience it live, but also to have others feel it. And Matt and Jeff and I have shared so many locker rooms, but I feel it makes everybody step up because we want to inspire to have others to get that same reaction. It's beautiful to see, Dave. I've watched it from the back. I've watched it from the side. I've watched it and yelled at Matt's wife, Rebby, and then she gave me the finger. But I've watched it in attendance. I don't know where I'll be for when they're at UBS, but I know because I love to feel energy. And they are the greatest example of like energy once you come out, all directed at one place. It's so awesome to be a part of.
Do you take time to enjoy it? Like you've heard it so many times, but it's so powerful. So when you go out there, when you're on that entrance ramp, do you take a second to take it all in?
In 2017 at Mania, I had no idea like what it really sounded like until I watched it back. I didn't realize it was that powerful until I watched it back and saw all the reactions. And we hadn't seen the arena at all. It was the first time going through that curtain when we were live about to have our match. And I didn't know how loud it was until we went out there. But I was just thinking about another thing about me. Matt wanted to do a video for this convention we're doing this weekend, and I was filthy. I'm a big landscaping guy. I cut my own grass, do my own weeding, all that stuff. It keeps me young as well. But and Matt wanted to film it, and I said, I don't know, man. Can we just do it tomorrow? I am filthy. But then I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And to myself, I'm effing Jeff Hardy. I don't need to clean up. And sure enough, I had the chainsaw, and we just did it, and it was great.
It was amazing. It went viral, actually.
It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I want to say something else about Jeff quickly. One thing about that pop, Michael Hayes told us at WrestleMania 17, which was TLC 2. He said, when you go out, he said, you don't get a lot of moments like this in your career. You remember when he told us this?
Yeah.
He said, take this in. He said, because you're going out in front of tens of thousands of people. This is a huge show, a monster show. You're one of the main events. He said, enjoy this moment. He said, and take it in. Be present in the moment. And we did. There's a look on my face where you can see it. I'm almost like emotional because the crowd was reacting. They were so loud. And the WrestleMania 33 was just, it was unbelievable. It was surreal. I mean, it feels like a dream even thinking back to it because it was just, there was so much energy. And Tommy nailed that when he said energy. It is truly energy in the arena that is palpable, that you can feel, that you can taste. And it's great because we get that every week. We have people that just dig it. They love it. And there's a lot of people that associate us with their childhood. And there's great memories that are tied to them that they said, oh, I was watching Matt and Jeff and they became my favorite tag team and I had all these great memories in my life, but now they're seeing us 30 years later, which is so crazy, or 25 years later. So we get to do that a lot, and we're like generational talents because we have now parents that grew up watching us as teenagers that we were their favorites, and now their kids are, we're their favorites too. So it's really neat, the whole experience. But I'm going to go back real quick. You were talking about guys who have had to change their style, do whatever. I have changed mine some. I've tried to work a lot smarter. I've tried to tell better stories in matches. But Jeff Hardy has had the most longevity of anybody that has done like swantons, whisper in the winds, all of the bumps he does. He still does everything, and it's crisp and as good as it's ever been. I've never seen a performer that has gone 30 years doing what he's done, and he's still doing it at the highest level possible.
How?
Thank you.
Is it the landscaping? Because
think
I'll
it
start
is.
mowing my lawn again.
My belief in the force of nature and trying to keep up with it, I believe that has something to do
And
with it.
cold plunges. We give cold plunges a lot of credit.
And oh God, just the day before yesterday, I was putting out straw on my motocross track. Is an extension of our front yard, and it's one of the most beautiful, coolest front yards on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned. But I was on the verge of a heat stroke, man, and I was like, oh my, I set goals for myself to get to a certain point, and I got to a certain point, like 56 bells were out. It's okay, I'm gonna take a break now. But I was, oh my God, I went back and my cold plunge was at 42, and it was the most refreshing thing I've ever experienced. Going from that heat, on the verge of heat stroke, into that cold water, it was so refreshing.
That's extreme.
It was extreme and cold
Branded
plunges.
Hardy Boyz.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm fine being achy and old. I'm okay with that. If that's what it's going to take to feel young, I don't need to. I'm fine the way I am. I know you guys probably get this question a lot, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I want to hear from both you, Matt, and Jeff. Just the moment in your career so far that stands out above any other one. Is there one?
I think something that was an extremely pivotal moment to us, and a lot of people ask us what our favorite match is, and it's a tricky question. It's kind of like being asked, which kid is your favorite? You really can't answer it fairly, but I just think the tag team ladder match we had with Edge and Christian, that is the match that made us. That is the match that put us on the map. It took us from being wrestlers to superstars at that time. Like, our reactions changed every night from there out, but because we had done something special and we kind of found our niche, and we became a very unique act, and people viewed us as superstars. That stands out. Obviously, the moment Jeff and I wrestled each other at WrestleMania, the first tag team title we ever won from the APA, that was a huge moment because that was our dream. And obviously that WrestleMania 33, those are all moments that stand out at the top of the list for me.
Yeah, our match, our brother versus brother match is a big one, man, because I remember watching Owen and Brett, man, I was like, man, maybe we can do that one day. And now knowing the Usos have done it, that was a big one. But yeah, returning in 2017 was a huge one. But my man on top, that spear from Edge, and when Bubba pulled that ladder.
Yep.
I talk about now, like, with these extreme, like, almost superhuman matches that we're seeing. I'm like, oh, these are video game matches. This shouldn't even be able to really be done. But that was like one of those moments back then. I was like, man, we saw it in our head, and damn if we didn't bring it to life. And man, that feels good.
So that moment, because that moment lives now.
Yeah,
you know, when people talk about greatest moments,
It's iconic.
It's iconic.
It's iconic.
It's like Superfly off the top of the cage against Don Morocco in Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
It's, you know, Stone Cold with a face full of blood. It's that iconic image. Yep. When it happened, like, were you like, oh my God, yes, like that's gonna be talked about 20 years from now, 25 years from now.
Yeah, I don't think I realized how huge it was, but yeah, it's immortal.
Watching, and Matt and Jeff know how crazy I am, but watching that moment frame by frame, it's a perfect moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From the launch to the hang to the sway in to the contact to the bump, everything, it literally is poetry in motion, but it's a perfect moment. That's why I feel it has become so iconic. Like Dwight Clark's The Catch, everything has to align up for this thing to happen, timing, everything. And for that as well, there were so many intangibles that everything could go wrong and nothing did. And this wasn't an era where people were holding ladders, referees were holding ladders. It's just a perfect moment capsulated in time. That's why it also lives forever. It's beautiful when it happens because we're still talking about it how many years later.
Yeah. 24 years later, it was that moment was perfection personified. For sure. No doubt about it.
Just so you know, Tommy, the image that Jeff and Matt are talking about is iconic and will be remembered forever and is perfect. The Dwight Clark catch, not so much.
That's because you're a Cowboys junkie.
You know, Jeff, for you and your music, and you talked about the music being such a big, important part of your life. What is the music? What music do you listen to now that inspires you, motivates you?
Me and my family just saw Pearl Jam for it was my 5th time seeing them in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it was so cool to have my wife and daughters there with me. But they are inspiring every day. I think I listen to a Pearl Jam song at least once a day, and with me, it just I'm learning things with tone and range, and I know vocal lessons would help me out tremendously. So I'm really close to taking some, and I think it's going to change my existence as a musician. But yeah, music is a big part of my spirituality, man.
What did you grow up listening to?
We grew up around country bluegrass. Is all my dad. If it wasn't that form of music, it wasn't music. But then I was big into rap when Vanilla Ice was huge. 91, 92. I kind of became black in my soul, and I was like, man, yeah, I was going to be like Vanilla Ice, and I started dancing. But then Matt bought that first Pearl Jam album, 10, and oh my God, the first time I heard it, I thought it was so strange and weird. I was like, why are you listening to this? This is crazy. But it grew on me so fast, and that whole grunge movement just kind of made me who I am.
And you know what? It's funny with music. Usually my favorite albums are ones that I didn't get right away. Like when I first heard it, I was like, eh. And then the more you listen to it, you grow into it.
For sure.
And those are usually the ones that make the biggest impact on you.
For sure, yeah.
What about with wrestling? What was it? When did you first see it? How did you fall in love with it? What was your first memories of watching professional wrestling?
Probably WrestleMania. What was Hogan and
WrestleMania
Warrior?
4.
WrestleMania 4. Or
Was
that when
WrestleMania 4 is when Macho Man won the title. I think that was the big moment for us. Yeah.
It was at the Trump Plaza place, right?
Yeah, we had casually probably watched. We were like fair weather wrestling fans. If it was on, we might watch it, whatever. And then we really dug Macho Man because his commercial. I think he had a Hot Wheels commercial, and this over the top, extravagant, great character, super charismatic, and we're like, that guy's really cool. And then we knew he was in this tournament. We'd watched the Saturday Night Main Event with Hogan and Andre, where Andre screwed him out of the title, and he's going to give it to DiBiase, and they stripped him. They had the tournament at WrestleMania 4, and we both kind of put our money on Macho Man. That's the guy we wanted to see win, and he actually won the tournament. We were super excited, and I think from that point on, we always watch wrestling.
I'm thinking about 6 when it was Warrior and Hogan, right?
Oh, yeah. WrestleMania 6 was a big day for Jeff, too, because he was a big Warrior guy.
Big Warrior guy. Naturally Sting and NWA, and then Warrior. And oh, my gosh, yeah, that I think that was the moment I said, I want to do this. And then soon after that is when we saw Sting live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I reached out and touched him on the shoulder on the way to the ring. And I looked at my palm and said, oh, my God, I want to make somebody feel like he made me feel just now. And that was the moment I knew I wanted to do it.
How many people, there has to be countless wrestlers that have come up to you guys over the years and said, you're the reason why I'm doing this. So when you hear that, what is it like for you knowing that you've influenced so many different careers?
Oh, it's amazing, man. I love every time I hear it, man. We heard it yesterday. We hear it about every day.
We do.
And that you are, man, you're my childhood. So now we're just trying to be people's adulthood.
Yeah, it's a daily thing. We're working on everyone's adulthood now.
Jeff, you think that's why you paint your face?
Oh, for sure. Because of the Ultimate Warrior and Sting, for sure, without a doubt.
He started doing that when we had our TWF, when we begged our dad for years to buy us a trampoline. He finally did, and we built a little makeshift ring around it. And I would be the bad guy. I was high voltage, and a lot of my character was based after the rendition of the Fabulous Freebirds that was in NWA and WCW. Michael Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin. I loved their act, and it's funny that we ended up with Michael Hayes down the road after that. But Jeff he was painting his face back then. It was the very first thing he did. His name was Wolverine, and he would paint his face, and he would come, and we would wrestle. I was the bad guy. He was the good guy. And usually, if someone's going to turn heel between us, it's going to be me. Jeff is historically the most popular person.
Dave, I was going to say, in an alternate universe, the two of them almost wound up in the original ECW. Yeah. Sandman pitched for them all the time. He's like, there's these two kids. They're great. One's really skinny, though, but we should bring them in. And then we're finally going to talk. But then they went to WWE. But Sandman, and I'm sure I think in Sandman's head, he found you guys. But I know that's not the truth. But he pitched for them all the time. I don't even know how that encounter happened, but
Well, one of the most amazing things, if you remember when you guys invaded the WWE show, when they did the thing where he spit the deal, it was with Savio, right? And we were backstage, and that was in Philly, and we went to the Hooters on it's something Landing. Where's that? Where was that Hooters at?
Penn's Landing.
Penn's Landing. Yes, Penn's Landing. And we went there to eat afterwards, and then all of a sudden, here comes some of the ECW crew in. Sandman was in. He probably had a couple to drink. Raven was there. A couple of the other guys, and I remember Raven came over and he's like, so hey, you guys were in the back, right? What did the guys think? Were they mad? Did they want to fight us? What did they want to do? And he was like trying to get intel on it. And then Sandman came over and started talking to him. He said, oh yeah, this is my number. Give me your number and send me a demo. Blah, blah, blah. I want to see your work, whatever. Then you're doing some WWE stuff. And we actually sent him a tape, and he saw a match between High Voltage Matt Hardy and Willow on an independent show. And we had some pretty crazy matches then. We were doing video game matches. We were young and healthy. And we had a couple ladder matches in there. And he called our house when we were still living at home with our dad at 3 a.m, and our dad came out and picked up the phone, and he was mad as hell. And he said, how did this guy, who are you, pal? Why are you calling here at 3 a.m? I've got to get up and go to work at the post office at 6. It was wild, man. But Sandy was, man. He always vouched for us.
That's
I was saying that Raven called Bubba at like 3 o'clock in the morning, called his parents' house as well before he was like a thing, and they told him he needed a ring jacket, but that's a whole other.
I'm very blessed doing this show, and I've been able to do so many interviews, and there's still interviews like where I'm talking to somebody and it feels like I'm a kid again. Like Ric Flair would be an example of that. Whenever I interview Ric Flair, it's like I'm 11 or 12 years old watching him on WTBS. For both you guys, has there been that moment for you where you've been in a ring and you stared across at your opponent and you're like, holy shit, I'm in the ring with... Have you had that kind of feeling or that kind of moment for yourselves?
For sure. The first time I wrestled Sting in TNA it was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, I believe, and I was doing that Antichrist of Pro Wrestling thing, and it was so surreal, man, because there I was, my moment with the biggest wrestler that influenced me. So yeah, that was definitely a huge moment for me.
I think first time I wrestled Undertaker, and I was out there having a singles match with him, and I got to wrestle him quite a few times, ironically, when I was doing Matt Hardy version 1. And just having his entrance and him coming to the ring, it was just like, oh my God, this is Undertaker. How am I in the ring with him? How is this real life?
Yeah.
And I think you do have those moments. And it is funny as time has gone on how that kind of changes too. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's almost like, okay, well, now we're just colleagues. We're like kind of the same. We definitely have had those moments in the past.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels for me too, when I wrestled him one-on-one, and because I'd always had this spot in my head, like when he does that flip up the turnbuckle, I said, man, what if I came in and gave him a burrito to the back after that if I ever wrestled? And sure enough, I got to do that with Shawn Michaels, man. That was a big one.
When it's all said and done, Hall of Fame, all said and done, who would you have induct you into the Hall of Fame?
I feel like it has to be Michael Hayes.
I feel like Michael Hayes would probably be the most appropriate. I mean, he really is. He is the guy that he taught us more than anyone else has, because he was with us and he was not afraid to share all his secrets with us about the business and what would make us better and what we should do to be looked at as more of a top act and just everything, man. He was so influential in our careers. And it's funny because whenever we first met Michael, we were both pretty straight and narrow. You know what I mean? It's funny. It was like a really interesting trip, the weeks that we spent with him, because he was in such a different place than we were at that time. But lots of love and respect for Michael Hayes. He's the best. We call him our wrestling daddy, and I think he always will be. You
guys watching you and the Nemeths right now,
yep.
Wrestling for those titles, and
yep.
and Nic Nemeth is a part of Busted Open, and they've done great things with the titles, and that feud is fantastic. Is there one team above any other team that you feel like you had the most chemistry with in your career?
Edge and Christian.
Yeah, I would say the same too.
Yeah.
I think Edge and Christian are the number one team we had the most chemistry with. I mean, we wrestled, I can't tell you how many hundreds of times. It probably feels like it's closing in on 1,000. Probably we wrestled so many times, but I would say those guys.
But then when the Dudleys came in too, I was like, oh, this is so great, man. They're the tables, we're the ladders, and Edge and Christian are the chairs, man. This is great.
And we can't leave the Dudleys out of the conversation, no doubt. Right. But the Dudleys were always great for us to work as baby faces fighting from underneath with these big, brawling, rough tough guys. I mean, that was always an easy story to tell whenever we'd have matches with those guys. So the three of us obviously made one another as we did the entire TLC thing, and we made TLC into a staple of pro wrestling for eternity, which is so cool.
Dave,
Awesome.
they were talking about Michael Hayes, and we were all in catering somewhere, Phoenix, and on social media, the picture of Matt and Jeff and Michael Hayes, and he's wearing that red, like, I guess Hardy, and not Matt and Jeff Hardy tight shirt, and
Yes.
and it says the ages of everyone, and Matt's like, I'm 3 years older than he is in this picture right here now, but it's pretty cool to see. And we're talking like Leon Slater was that kid who Jeff Hardy made him want to be a pro wrestler, and then the Hardys have kind of taken Leon under their wing, and I was just like, you know what, we should recreate this photo because it's a little different, because they're the mentors to this one guy, and they're real life mentors to him in the sense of he gets it, and he too is having a big match against Moose, trying to become the youngest X Division champion. But how, I mean, I know because I introduced you guys, and again, I wish that camera was on Leon when Jeff showed up in Chicago. And he literally stood up and went, "No way, man! No way, man!" He's screaming it, and he's looking at all his friends like, "Why didn't anybody tell me this was happening?" Because we hid Jeff in the venue. But like, he was jumping up and down, and then I brought him to Jeff, and then through social media, and Jeff's like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you." And then Matt goes, "Swanton 450." And Jeff's like, "Oh shit, man, how are you?" And then he was like, "No way, do you know who I am, man?" Like, it was such a beautiful moment, but like to inspire other people, but like also like, what do you see a lot of your younger selves in Leon?
I think so. I see a guy that's real hungry, and you say it's funny you said that. I think Michael Hayes in that picture. I think Michael was 40.
Oh, really?
I think he was 40, 41. He was early 40s for sure when that picture happened. So I'm 8, 9, 10 years older than he is right now, which is so crazy. But yeah, we should do that picture in opposite where me and Jeff are still in the same, and he's in Michael Hayes' spot. That'd be great. But I do. Leon is a guy that is hungry. He gets it, as you said. He gets it, and we have done the same thing that Michael kind of did to us. We're like sharing all our secrets. Like, I think this would improve you, especially because he's a guy that is a high flyer, and he does things where he takes chances, and he's an extreme guy, and he's not afraid to take a risk. And we're just talking about these things you can implement that makes you a solid performer, and things that, the people in the first 10 rows, they need to look at you and like tell you are physically someone that's tough and can fight. And when you throw a kick or a punch, like, whoa, it's for real. Like, this guy, he's a high flyer and he's an acrobat, but I wouldn't want to get in a fight with him because I think he'd beat me up, because he looks physical. There is a level of credibility with that. And Leon is a great dude. He is going to be, I'm going to make the prediction right now, he's going to be a huge star in pro wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great conversation with him at our last show about manifestation. Us as pro wrestlers always manifesting the near future, but also outside of pro wrestling and what you want to bring to life. And I meditate a lot these days too, as well as manifest. So I manifest quite a bit early in the mornings, and we had a great conversation about that. He's got a hugely bright future.
Awesome. Slammiversary, Sunday, July 20th in Long Island, the UBS Arena. Obviously, the Hardys are going to be a big part of that show, but this is going to be the biggest show of the year. So if you're in the area, make sure you take the time. Sunday, July 20th, UBS Arena, Long Island, New York. Tommy, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Thank you for making me a part of it, Tommy.
Hell yeah, going to be an amazing show. Hardy's. Now, you guys made an announcement?
Yes. They had us announce it yesterday what the match was, so we might as well go and throw it out right now. The match that is going to be going down that we're going to be part of, it is going to be the Hardys wrestling against the Rascals and also First Class, as well as the champions, the Nemeth, as we finally get our return match for the tag team titles, and it is going to be in a ladder match.
Wow.
Our specialty. So it's going to be a big deal. It's one you don't want to miss.